This is day 353 of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. If you'd like to sponsor up the coming day of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi, please contact me directly. It would be very greatly appreciated. Today we're doing Siman Reish Mem Vav Yud Ches to Chav Dalet. Which will bring us to the Siman. Yesh Mishal Yud Ches. Yesh the some people say that as far as riding on the animal, that a non-Jewish ride on the animal of a Jew is not a problem. Because we pass in that a person who is alive is at least partially covering, bearing his own weight. So therefore, there's no intrinsic chiyuv. That's why if you carry somebody who's alive who can walk on their own out in Rosh Hashanah on Shabbos, you're potter. It's not considered to be a malacha d'oraisa. But you have to be meticulous that on the saddle, which is underneath the rider. I guess because that's not part of the chai. But to ride outside the tchum, to allow the non-Jews to ride outside the tchum regardless is also, and this is from the Teres Kanim. Shulchan says, learning your cloud doesn't make sense at all. The animal has anguish from the fact that it has to carry a rider. Not, in other words, it contradicts the concept of Shvis as Behemah. According to Mechillah, which he brought, it's completely forbidden. He says the Ateres Kanim brought this Chevi Zeh B'Shem Levush Siman Shin Hey V'Lo Yimtzah Came B'Levush. That's in the brackets. He brought his name Levush, but there is no such Levush. Back outside brackets. V'Lo Dayin Mashutin L'Mkor Sus Mitam Zeh. It's not like a horse, which is you're allowed to sell on this account. Much Kosev Ram Perchov. The Hasam Chashosh Ba'amu. There is only a remote suspicion. Mishum Nisyoyne Samach Lashkia. Maybe he was going to try it out right before Shkia. He's living in 8 a.m. And the tryout will come out to continue past Shkia. We're not concerned about that. As opposed to letting him ride freely on Shabbos, also that is definitely also. The Mishnah Berurah, the Biur Halacha says that the actual riding is permissible. But the question is whether you can loan or rent it to him, even to ride on it, because we're afraid maybe he's going to put some burden on it as well. So that is an interesting difference. It seems between the Arukh HaShulchan and the Biur Halacha. Arukh HaShulchan it sounds like riding an animal is included in Shvis Behemto. And according to Mishnah Berurah, riding an animal is not included in Shvis Behemto because it's not a actual cargo burden. This is, I'm not sure if that actually, I think that, as far as I recall, the Mishnah Berurah is the way we learn Stam, but I would have to look it up to be sure. But this seems that if it's machlekes, it's a very basic machlekes. In any event, continues to show even though Shvis Behemto is only by your own animal, Mechamer, which is to drive an animal when you're not sitting on it, just causing it to go. The Isser is whether the animal is yours, even animals and non-Jews. Since the animal here is you say, giddy up, whatever you're saying, that is going on that account, on his account, and information no difference. So to drive an animal on Shabbos is usher, independently of the question of whether it's your animal or not. You test. A Jew hired out oxen to a non-Jew in order to plow with them. And he's plowing with them. Some people allow this if the non-Jew accepts themselves all the responsibility, super responsibility. Death of the animal, theft of the animal, burglary of the animal, animal's price going value going up, or the animal's value going down, which I don't think he's so upset if the animal's price goes up. Anyway, but some people say no. In the final analysis, since the non-Jew cannot sell this animal if he wants to, it's called the animal of the Jew. That is based. Yosef, Ikar Kedei Rishonos says Arukh HaShulchan. The primary halacha is like the first opinion that this would be permissible. And Ramah says, Ramah alludes to Ramah Paskin Stama in Masif Hey. Voda Gamlin Ribis, also in terms of interest, loaning money interest. Fadin can come avur bi'ardei reish simon kuf ayin zayin ayin sham. In other words, that the halacha is that capital of this sort, which belongs to which a non-Jew accepted all these responsibilities by himself, he can loan out to a Jew at interest, because now it's considered the non-Jew's money for all intents and purposes, and so on and so forth. But if he doesn't accept by himself the fluctuation in price up and down, it's forbidden. Nevertheless, understand that he is most granted. Technically, it's permitted. What about the optics? Right, some call mashkasim simulation. You already said in place of hefsegah, we're not concerned with marasayim. But I don't know if this is actually called hefsegah. Excuse me. So therefore, you have to say here that either you should publicize that the non-Jew who took all of the responsibility upon himself, I guess, or let's talk about such a case in the Shulchan Aruch where we know that the non-Jew accepted all the Christ. When it's not known yet that these oxen belong to a Jew. Or if he's running them outside the 2,000 amos of the city, if you're bringing shari, in such cases, even in building, it's mutter k'mosh k'sam l'sham, if no Jew can ever possibly come to see it. Chaf, you really have to over portion. It seems to be clear. The Kshay Yisrael, when you do shutfim behema, if a Jew and non-Jew partners in an animal, if the non-Jew does work with that animal on Shabbos, or every Yisrael shvisas be'emtel, Yisrael transgresses shvisas be'emtel because his animal's not resting. If he can protest, he must protest. He can't protest. He has to make a heter mechira, one of those other ways in which he said it's permissible. The Ritzbah writes this. This is a quote from the tshuva which brought down goes my monius. The Shishalta so many Yehudi, a Jew and a non-Jew. Sheyesh lohem shutfu sodos shvorim. And partnership fields and oxen. B'shir sodos enis. In terms of the field, there's no prohibition. Machmos hashvorim. When it comes to the oxen, yesh le'asor, it's forbidden. Also, the other material, she's mental persons commanded to cause his animal to desist from labor on Shabbos. Animals say takorim loshim, there's no heter unless he sells it. Akal l'shon. Chemaz the Rebbe saying about the Shulchan Aruch Chosif Hey Ayin Shom, because she's one that seems to be the implication of the Shulchan Aruch Ramah Sif Hey. The long brackets here. But I'm not going to because then you can maybe b'shem Rivosh. The aim is him shvisas be'emto. Rivosh already says no shvisas be'emto. Came and sheyesh le'enu dichel. Well, since he has a portion animal, he's working his portion. Ayin Shom. Yesh the michshol lifnei ayinim. Says Arukh HaShulchan, there's a stumbling block for people who just read the Magen Avraham. The Rivosh says it's only because the non-Jew is not going to pay attention, he's going to do it against your will. On the contrary, because of the is right to the end. There's no problem she's a came with just about because he's usurping. He's not doing he's going against your will. You should not have joined up with him to begin with. That was Nissa. Magen Avraham Kitzur Kedarka V'duk. Magen Avraham brings it down briefly, and therefore one can be misled. What's what she do if he wants to make a shutfus in a partnership in an animal which does malacha? So then, Yasek, which custom Simon Kodem, you should do it like it says in previous Simon, b'shutfus sadeh, in a partnership in the field, or tanur, or an oven, or merchatz, or bathhouse. Fine, she has same mode tonight. B'shas akniyah should make a stipulation. Time to purchase any of the yitov Shabbos. Kol mashialim imena. That the non-Jew should take on Shabbos everything, every profit comes on that day. And you take opposite that one of the weekdays. Each when they make the cheshbon, each should take the revach of the day which is allotted to him. Malcolm have said in the case of a loss, we say in the case of a loss, one can even divide evenly. The word is not distinguished between Malcolm have said and not Malcolm have said. But as I feel in my crash, then even they both are responsible for all the days of the week. It's permissible. Found analysis, he stipulated that one of those days, belongs to non-Jew, is Shabbos. But he didn't make a condition to begin with. As we all saw already, these parameters. If he says to him after Shabbos and Yom Chol, you take Shabbos, I'll take a weekday. Arukh HaShulchan on Shabbos, so then he's your agent in the Shabbos. Like we saw previously. The non-Jew has to take the rewards of all the profits of all the Shabbos. And then the other 6 days can divide 50-50. But then, Goram Isser. You should know this, even though you can take the profits, there's still an Isser involved. Because half the animal did malach on Shabbos. You can't impede upon him. So it's Shabbos to do work on Shabbos. You shouldn't join made the partnership. That's in the previous sif. Brackets. They should just make a general stam chalukah zel ramah sham. As we said, you can make a 50-50 chalukah ahead of time. Base. As an eitzah. Even though you make a prior stipulation. Besides the one we said before, which is Levata Shut Vasan to dissolve partnership and start from scratch. How so? This is the eitzah. Give it as a loan to non-Jew, as a complete loan, that he can use it and do whatever he wants it, even without the Jew's permission. And the value of the animal should be what the non-Jew owes him. It was not just not the animal itself, but the value of the animal. The non-Jew should take a responsibility also on the oxen. So I'm not sure it means that also on the oxen. But in any event, the idea is that in this case, for those days at least, maybe for all the days, I'm not sure exactly who's dividing up, your partnership is not in the animal. Your partnership is in the money which comes in. So therefore, it's not going to be a shvisas payim to issue. So some say that it works even the non-Jew does not have permission to send it out without the Jew's permission. Making the value of the ox a loan on the non-Jew. As a bema apothecary, so then the non-Jew makes the animal, which really now, according to this new ruse, belongs to him. It's apothecary, the designated collateral for the Jew. That if you won't be able to collect for the money, quote unquote, you have bema collect for the animal. And that he won't, if that happens, that there's a default, he's only going to collect for the animal, not for anything else. Or another alternative, that he should make the animal a mashkon in the hands of the Jew, because the Jew doesn't own it, it's collateral on a loan, but the non-Jew takes and works with it. And non-Jew saying, if I don't pay you back money, take it from the animal. But make sure the non-Jew doesn't say, that I don't pay you. The animal should now be yours from now. The husband because then if he doesn't pay, when it comes retroactive to the Jews, then was the whole problem she's paying every time the non-Jew uses it on Shabbos. That those who permit by the Jew warning the non-Jew don't do work on Shabbos. If he transgresses and doesn't, then the non-Jew takes full responsibility for their own sin, even for acts of God. Should write this in a secular document, the secular courts. In this case, it comes to Malach on Shabbos. It's not the animal of a Jew. The non-Jew required it to be chayiv in its own sin. Be chayiv in its even acts of God. I can't show you. There's a whole quote from Beis Yosef. Then he said you should write in the secular courts. It's not specific. It means primarily he should publicize this arrangement so there shouldn't be any suspicions. He can't ask the why does it work? And not to accept responsibility. If I after they were sure she received down, so the Kabel Gam Yukra Vazula, we say you have to accept also the fluctuation of price higher or lower, because sometimes if you test, like what is you test that's when whole animal belongs to a Jew. The partners it's not for the non-Jew to accept general responsibility. Shemasir Shlo Shabbos. And he warned not to work on Shabbos. Says even also here there was achrayas on fluctuation price, and Rabbi Mishmur says the same thing. But if that's the case, it's missing something significant here from the text. It only mentions acts of God. But that it's don't need to have you Makabli Rizula. But time reason is the borrower, since he's obligated in any show, since obligated in acts of God, it's like his. And the Kom makes a kinyan. It's just it's not a kinyan. That's when he borrows with his willingly. But he borrows not willingly. Shobitzono means he borrows with the will of the lender. Shobitzono is not with the will of the lender. Who could Gaza make Shalogami, then he's like a thief and belongs to him to completely. Therefore, if he stipulated not to do the work, and he did it anyway, so now he's chayv and oinsin. Became in trouble, and he's betzim agazan because he transgressed the stipulation. It's like his, and therefore is no shvisas pento. That's what he says. Kenny Elanius daiti. Chavta kasar ben Ramah the quotes that they heterim e'elu hilchasanim yochel asos ezemen shiatzik. Do any of these heterim what you want. Feel ben b'kul shel yisrael the Jew completely animal belongs to a Jew. To a Jew. Tino kilu hay b'shufas and yudi. It's as if it's a partnership with non-Jew. For actually, if I seem there, also there had to just publicize it. If Mr. Way, I can assure it's in the quote from the Ramah. Sfila, he believes that feel cool. She so even believes belongs completely to the Jew. Came with Shishina since he, the non-Jew, changed what the agreement. He escaped him, and he became liable to acts of God. It's like here's the reason we explain it, because it's as if he stole it. That's the non-Jew does his own malacha. But do the malacha of the Jew. No value at the end of the day. The non-Jew cannot allow him to do his malacha. And unless he sells the entire business, kidos properly, gemura in a complete sale, fastened over the note and publicized manner, back it says, Ein Tois Shabbos, you come to as well. When you tell the non-Jew, don't do malacha, and you do, your whole full responsibility is upon you. That's to say that this effect immediately. In order that it shouldn't be an asmachta, in other words, an idle promise, which is not considered to be valid in halacha as a transaction. Ayin shah. Mishmur says that the best of all the heterim is that you should be makne him on a weekday, a complete mechira, and there should be a down payment on the non-Jew pays the Jew, and the other money he'll owe the Jew, and then he makes the animal the designated collateral for the Jew. And the best thing is to do the sale in front of the dayanim of the city. Actually, it means the Jewish and non-Jewish dayanim. If it's a shas of chak, you should be mafka the animal in front of 3 people. Believe showing. Mishnah Berurah says also that you can't protest against those who are lenient to sell their animals to non-Jews based on all their terim. Nevertheless, a Baal Nefesh will be concerned not to do this unless it's shas of chak and according to the parameters of a psak from the Talmud Chacham.